When Maya's water broke during a family gathering, her mother-in-law literally told her she was being dramatic and faking it for attention, then convinced everyone, including Maya's own husband, to leave her alone and go to his brother's award ceremony instead. "First babies take forever anyway," she said, leaving Maya terrified and in labor by herself. But what happened next, while they were gone celebrating, would change everything. And when her husband's family finally walked back through that door hours later, acting like nothing was wrong, they had no clue what was waiting for them. Welcome, viewers. Here's another unbelievable but true story for you. But before we dive fully in, these stories take hours to research and put together. So if you end up enjoying this one, a like and subscribe would really be nice. Now back to the story. Maya's water broke at 3:47 p.m. on a Saturday, right in the middle of her living room during what was supposed to be a casual family gathering. The moment it happened, everything stopped. Liquid pooled around her feet while she stood frozen, one hand gripping the back of a chair, the other instinctively moving to her swollen belly. Her breath caught in her throat, not from pain yet, but from the sudden realization that this was real. Her baby was coming. "Oh my God," she whispered, looking up at the faces around her. I think it's time." You'd expect panic, right? Maybe someone rushing to grab car keys, another person calling the hospital, her husband wrapping an arm around her shoulders to guide her toward the door. That's what should have happened. Instead, her mother-in-law, Patricia, barely glanced up from her phone. "Don't be so dramatic, Maya." Patricia's voice dripped with that particular brand of dismissiveness she'd perfected over the past 8 months. "First babies take forever. You've probably got 12 hours before anything real happens." Maya felt her stomach drop in a way that had nothing to do with contractions. "But my water just broke." "Yes, we can all see that." Patricia finally looked at her, eyes cold and assessing. "You'll clean that up before we leave, won't you? The hardwood might stain." The room had gone quiet in that uncomfortable way that happens when someone says something so outrageous that nobody knows how to respond. Maya's husband, Derek, stood near the doorway, his eyes darting between his mother and his wife like he was watching a tennis match he desperately didn't want to be part of. "Derek." Maya's voice came out smaller than she intended. "We need to go to the hospital." He took a step forward, then stopped. His mother's hand shot out and gripped his wrist. "Your brother's award ceremony starts in 45 minutes, Patricia said, her tone brooking no argument. "He's receiving the Engineer of the Year award, Derek. Your brother has worked his entire career for this moment." "But Maya." "We'll be fine." Patricia stood up, smoothing down her dress with one hand while still holding Derek's wrist with the other. "Labor takes hours, especially for first-time mothers who don't know what real contractions even feel like yet. She's probably just having Braxton Hicks." Maya felt the first real contraction hit her then, a band of iron tightening around her midsection that made her gasp and double over. Pain radiated from her lower back through her entire abdomen, stealing her breath. "That's not Braxton Hicks," she managed to get out between gritted teeth. "Please, I need—" "What you need," Patricia interrupted, "is to stop trying to steal attention from your brother-in-law on his big day. This is classic behavior, Maya. We've all seen it before. The moment someone else is about to be celebrated, suddenly you have an emergency." The accusation hit Maya like a slap. Around the room, Derek's family members were starting to gather their things: purses, jackets, phones. Nobody was meeting her eyes. "Derek, please." Maya reached out toward her husband, one hand still pressed against her contracting belly. "The baby's coming. I'm scared." For a moment, just a brief flash, she saw something that might have been guilt cross Derek's face. But then his mother stepped between them, physically blocking Maya's view of him. "Your wife has been making everything about her since the day you got married," Patricia said. her voice low, but loud enough for Maya to hear every word. Your promotion dinner? She had a headache. My birthday party? She felt nauseous. And now, on the most important day of your brother's life, she's suddenly going into labor? It's convenient, isn't it? I'm not. Maya's protest was cut off by another contraction, stronger than the first. She bent forward, gripping the chair so hard her knuckles went white. Please don't leave me. But they were already moving toward the door. Derek's sister grabbed her coat from the rack. His father was checking his watch, muttering something about traffic on the highway. His aunt and uncle were discussing whether to take one car or two. And Derek? Derek was following his mother toward the door like a child being led by the hand. We'll be back in a few hours, Patricia called over her shoulder, not even bothering to turn around. Try to rest, Maya. You're going to need your energy for when real labor actually starts. The front door opened, letting in a gust of cool afternoon air. Derek. Maya's voice broke on his name. Don't do this. Please don't leave me alone. He paused in the doorway, one foot already on the front step, turned back to look at her. She could see the war playing out on his face, the man she'd married fighting against the boy who'd never learned to stand up to his mother. The boy won. We'll be back soon, he said quietly, unable to hold her gaze. Just lie down and rest, okay? Mom's right. First babies take a long time. Then he was gone, closing the door behind him with a soft click that sounded, to Maya's ears, like the lock sliding shut on a prison cell. She stood there in the sudden silence of her living room, water still pooled around her feet, alone with the baby that was very definitely coming, whether anyone believed her or not. Through the window, she watched their cars pull out of the driveway one by one, red taillights disappearing down the street. Another contraction hit, this one hard enough to buckle her knees. Maya sank to the floor, her back against the couch, and realized with crystalline clarity that she was about to give birth alone on her living room floor while her husband attended his brother's award ceremony. The fear that crashed over her then was unlike anything she'd ever experienced. This wasn't supposed to be how it happened. She'd planned everything. The hospital bag packed and ready by the door, the route timed to avoid traffic, the birthing plan printed and reviewed with her doctor. She'd imagined Derek holding her hand, coaching her through contractions, being her anchor in the storm. She'd never once imagined this. The contractions were coming faster now, each one a wave of pain that left Maya gasping and shaking on her living room floor. She'd managed to crawl to the couch, grabbing her phone from the coffee table in the brief window between contractions. Her hands trembled as she tried to unlock the screen, but another wave hit before she could dial. The phone clattered to the floor, skidding just out of reach. No, she whimpered, stretching her arm toward it. Her fingertips brushed the case, but it slid further away. Time became strange after that. Maya couldn't tell if minutes or hours were passing. The pain was all-consuming, a relentless force that made everything else fade into background noise. She heard herself making sounds she didn't recognize, deep, primal moans that came from somewhere ancient and instinctive. Between contractions, her mind raced with panic. What if something went wrong? What if the baby was in distress? What if she bled out right here on her hardwood floor and nobody found her until it was too late? She thought about calling her own parents, but they lived 3 states away. They'd booked flights for 2 weeks from now, when the baby was actually due. Because babies were supposed to come on schedule, weren't they? They were supposed to give you warning, time to prepare, time to get to the hospital with your husband by your side and doctors ready to help. Not like this. Never like this. Maya pressed her forehead against the cool leather of the couch cushion, trying to focus on anything other than the mounting pressure in her pelvis. She counted the family photos on the wall, 12 of them, all featuring Derek's family at various celebrations and holidays. In every single one, she stood slightly apart from a group, never quite centered, never quite belonging. Should have seen this coming, she thought bitterly. Should have known they'd abandon her when she needed them most. Another contraction ripped through her, different this time. Stronger. More urgent. Her body was telling her something that her mind couldn't quite process through the fear and pain. The baby was coming now, whether she was ready or not. "Please," she whispered to the empty room. "Please, I need help." As if in answer, she heard a voice from outside. "Hello? Is someone in there?" Maya's head snapped up. Through her pain-blurred vision, she could see a figure approaching the front window, shading their eyes to peer inside. "Help." The word came out as barely more than a croak. Maya tried again, louder this time. "Help me. Please." The figure at the window moved quickly, disappearing from view. Seconds later, though it felt like an eternity, Maya heard the doorknob rattle. "It's locked. Hold on, I'm calling 911. Fresh tears streamed down Maya's face, but this time they weren't just from pain. Someone had heard her. Someone was here. The voice continued, muffled through the door. "I'm Catherine. I live 3 houses down. I was walking my dog when I heard screaming. The ambulance is on the way, okay? They'll be here soon." "The baby's coming now," Maya managed to gasp out. "I can't. There's no time. Is there a spare key? Can you get to the door?" Maya looked at the front door, which might as well have been a mile away. Another contraction hit, and she knew with absolute certainty that she wasn't going anywhere. "Under the mat," she called out. "Blue flower pot by the door. Keys underneath." She heard scraping sounds. Then the blessed click of a lock turning. The door swung open, and a woman in her 60s rushed in, her face a mixture of concern and determination. She had gray hair pulled back in a practical ponytail and was wearing running shoes and yoga pants, like she'd been in the middle of an ordinary Saturday afternoon before stumbling into Maya's nightmare. "Oh, honey," Catherine breathed, taking in the scene. She moved quickly to Maya's side, her phone already in hand. "I've got you now. You're not alone anymore." Those 4 words, "You're not alone anymore," broke something inside Maya. She sobbed, whether from relief or pain or the crushing weight of what her husband had done. She couldn't say. Catherine was already on the phone, speaking calmly to the 911 dispatcher. "Yes, she's crowning. No, there's no time to wait for the ambulance. I can see the baby's head. I'm going to need you to walk me through this." She put the phone on speaker, propping it against the coffee table, and squeezed Maya's hand. "My daughter had 3 babies. I was there for all of them. We can do this together. Okay? What's your name?" "Maya." "Okay, Maya. I'm going to help you deliver this baby, and everything's going to be fine." Catherine's voice was steady, confident in a way that cut through Maya's panic. "But first, I need to record this. Do you trust me?" Maya blinked through her tears, confused. "What?" "Your front door was locked. You're alone. Your water broke. I can see the puddle over there. And nobody's here with you." Catherine's eyes were sharp, assessing. "This isn't right, Maya. Someone needs to document what's happening here." Understanding dawned through the pain. Catherine pulled out her phone and started recording, panning across the empty room, the puddle on the floor, Maya's terrified face. "This is Maya. She's in active labor, alone in her home at," Catherine checked her watch, "for 23 p.m. on Saturday, November 16th. I'm a neighbor who heard her screaming for help. The door was locked when I arrived." She set the phone up against a stack of books on the coffee table, angling it to capture everything, before turning back to Maya with fierce determination in her eyes. "Now," Catherine said, rolling up her sleeves, "let's bring your baby into the world." Maya would never forget the next 47 minutes, as long as she lived. Catherine worked with the calm efficiency of someone who'd seen crisis before and refused to be rattled by it. She grabbed towels from the hallway closet, positioned pillows to support Maya's back, and kept up a steady stream of encouragement that somehow made the impossible feel almost manageable. "That's it, breathe through it," Catherine coached as another contraction peaked. "Don't push yet, not until your body absolutely demands it. Let it build." The 911 dispatcher's voice crackled through the phone speaker, walking them through each stage. Maya heard words like crowning and perineum and umbilical cord, but they barely registered. Her entire world had narrowed to the overwhelming pressure, the burning sensation, and Catherine's steady hand gripping hers. "I can't do this," Maya sobbed between contractions. "It hurts so much." "You're already doing it," Catherine interrupted firmly. "Your body knows exactly what to do. You just have to trust it." Trust. The word felt foreign after the afternoon she'd had. But something in Catherine's unwavering presence made Maya believe her. When the urge to push finally came, it was undeniable, a force that took over her entire body and left her with no choice but to surrender to it. She bore down, gripping Catherine's hand so hard she was probably leaving bruises, and pushed with everything she had. "Good. I can see the head." Catherine's voice filled with excitement. "One more big push, Maya. You're almost there." Maya pushed again, her scream echoing off the walls of her living room. Then suddenly, there was a release of pressure, so profound she almost couldn't believe it. A baby's cry pierced the air, thin and reedy at first, then stronger. "It's a girl." Catherine was laughing and crying at the same time, carefully lifting the tiny vernix-covered baby and placing her on Maya's chest. "You did it. Oh my God, Maya, you did it." Maya looked down at her daughter's scrunched-up face, at the tiny fingers already grasping at air, and felt something break open in her chest. This perfect little human had just entered the world on a living room floor with no doctors, no hospital, no father present, and she was here. She was alive. She was crying. "Hi, baby," Maya whispered, her voice thick with tears. "Hi. I'm your mama." Catherine was already moving again, following the dispatcher's instructions about the umbilical cord and the placenta. Through it all, her phone remained propped up, recording everything. The baby's first cries, the timestamp on the screen reading 5:10 p.m., the empty room with no one but a stranger who'd heard screams and refused to walk away. The ambulance arrived 12 minutes later. 2 paramedics rushed through the still-open front door, their medical bags swinging from their shoulders. "We've got a healthy baby girl," Catherine reported immediately, shifting into crisp, efficient mode. "Born at 5:10 p.m. Mother delivered alone until I arrived approximately 45 minutes ago. I'm a neighbor. The door was locked when I found her." One of the paramedics, a young woman with kind eyes, knelt beside Maya. "Hi there, Mama. You did an amazing job. We're going to take care of you both now, okay?" They worked quickly, clamping and cutting the umbilical cord, checking the baby's vital signs, helping Maya deliver the placenta. The second paramedic kept shooting glances around the empty house, his expression growing more troubled. "Is there someone we should call?" he asked carefully. "The baby's father, maybe?" Maya's throat tightened. "He's at his brother's award ceremony." The paramedics exchanged a look that spoke volumes. Nobody said anything, but Maya saw judgment flicker across their faces before they schooled their expressions back to professional neutrality. "We need to transport you both to the hospital," the female paramedic said gently. "The baby seems healthy, but we need to run some tests, make sure everything's good." Catherine helped gather a few of Maya's things while the paramedics prepared the stretcher. Before they loaded Maya into the ambulance, Catherine squeezed her hand one more time. "I'm coming with you," she said. It wasn't a question. And I'm bringing this. She held up her phone. You're going to need this evidence, Maya. Trust me on that. At the hospital, everything happened fast. They whisked Maya and the baby into a private room, nurses swarming around them with practiced efficiency. Someone handed Maya papers to sign. Someone else asked about her medical history. A pediatrician arrived to examine the baby, his movements gentle and thorough. Then his expression changed. We need to run some additional blood work, he said carefully, looking between Maya and the baby. Your daughter's coloring is slightly off. It might be nothing, but I want to be thorough. Might be nothing. Those 3 words sent ice through Maya's veins. She'd just survived delivering alone on her living room floor. Surely the universe wouldn't be cruel enough to throw something else at her now. The blood work came back 23 minutes later. The pediatrician returned with a neonatologist, both wearing expressions that made Maya's heart sink. Your daughter has neonatal anemia, the neonatologist explained. She needs a blood transfusion immediately. Her blood type is B negative with a rare KID antigen combination. It's extremely uncommon. Maya's medical knowledge was limited, but she understood the urgency in his tone. What does that mean? It means we need to find compatible blood quickly, he said. We're checking our reserves now, but this particular combination is difficult to match. We'll need to test you and the father to see if either of you can donate directly. They drew Maya's blood right there, running it through whatever tests they needed while she held her daughter's impossibly tiny hand. The baby looked so fragile in the hospital bassinet, so small and vulnerable. 10 minutes later, the neonatologist returned with results that would change everything. You're a perfect match, he said. You can donate directly to your daughter. We need to prep you immediately. Every minute counts. Maya looked down at her baby girl, fighting for her life just hours after entering it. Then let's do it, she said. Whatever she needs. They prepped Maya for the donation in record time. A nurse inserted in 4-line into her arm, while another explained the procedure in calm, measured tones that probably would have been reassuring if Maya's entire body wasn't still shaking from childbirth and adrenaline. Her daughter lay in a specialized bassinet nearby, hooked up to monitors that beeped steadily, each sound a reminder that time was critical. You just gave birth, the nurse said gently, adjusting the flow rate. Your body has been through tremendous trauma. We're going to monitor you very closely during this. Maya barely heard her. All she could see was her daughter's tiny chest rising and falling, those impossibly small fingers curled into fists. She'd fought her way into the world against terrible odds. Maya would give every drop of blood in her body if that's what it took to keep her here. The donation took 40 minutes. Maya watched her blood flow through the tubes, watched the medical team work on her baby with focused intensity, watched Catherine sitting in the corner chair with that phone still clutched in her hand like a talisman. She's responding, the neonatologist announced finally, and Maya heard the relief in his voice. The transfusion is working. Her oxygen levels are improving. Maya closed her eyes, fresh tears streaming down her face. Her daughter was going to be okay. They were both going to be okay. The nurse was checking Maya's vitals when her phone buzzed on the bedside table, then buzzed again and again. A rapid-fire succession of notifications that made everyone in the room glance over. Catherine picked it up, her face hardening as she read the screen. It's your husband. 17 missed calls. 32 text messages. Maya's stomach turned. What time is it? 8:47 p.m. The award ceremony would be over by now. Derek had finally noticed his wife was missing. Or more likely, someone else had noticed and told him. Do you want me to answer? Catherine asked, and there was something protective in her tone that made Maya want to cry all over again. No. Maya's voice came out stronger than she expected. Not yet, But the calls kept coming. Then a new number flashed across the screen, Patricia. Then Derek's brother. Then his sister. The phone buzzed continuously, an insistent reminder of the family that had walked out her front door and left her to deliver alone. "They're on their way," Catherine said, reading a message. "Your husband says they're 15 minutes from the hospital." Maya looked down at her daughter, now stable and sleeping peacefully after receiving her mother's blood. This tiny human, who'd already survived more in her first few hours than most people face in a lifetime. A fierce protectiveness rose in Maya's chest, sharp and undeniable. "Catherine," she said quietly, "do you still have that video?" Catherine's eyes met hers, understanding passing between them. Every second of it. "I need to make some calls." The first call went to her parents. Her mother answered on the second ring, and the sound of her voice nearly broke Maya's composure. "Mom, I had the baby." The story poured out of her in fragments. The water breaking, the family leaving, the floor, the blood transfusion. Her mother's shock turned to fury, turned to immediate action. They were already looking at flights. They'd be there by morning, maybe sooner if they drove through the night. The second call was harder. Maya scrolled through her contacts until she found the name she needed. Rachel Kim, a family law attorney she'd met at a work event 2 years ago. They'd exchanged cards, stayed in touch sporadically. Maya had never imagined she'd need to use that number like this. Rachel answered despite the late hour. "Maya, what's wrong?" "I need to hire you," Maya said. "Tonight. Right now." To Rachel's credit, she didn't ask questions. "I'll be there in an hour. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. And whatever you do, don't let anyone take that baby anywhere without hospital staff present." The third call, Maya didn't have to make. Catherine had already sent the video to her own email, to a cloud storage account, to 3 separate backups. Insurance, she called it. Evidence that couldn't be erased or explained away. "I also called my daughter," Catherine added. "She's a social worker with Child Protective Services. Not for your county, but she knows people. She's making some calls." Maya stared at this woman who'd been a stranger 3 hours ago and was now orchestrating her defense like a military general. "Why are you doing all this?" Catherine's expression softened. "Because 30 years ago I was you. Different circumstances, same feeling of being abandoned when I needed help most. Nobody stood up for me then." She squeezed Maya's hand. "I'm standing up for you now." Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Loud, hurried, accompanied by raised voices demanding to know where Maya's room was. A nurse's calm response. "Sir, you need to lower your voice. This is a hospital." Then Derek burst through the door, his face flushed and eyes wild. Patricia followed close behind, along with his brother, sister, and father. They crowded into the room, bringing with them the scent of restaurant food and expensive cologne, evidence of the celebration they'd just left. "Maya, oh my God, why didn't you call?" Derek rushed toward the bed, reaching for her hand. "We had no idea." "Don't touch me." Maya's voice cut through his words like a blade. She pulled her hand back, cradling it against her chest. "Don't you dare touch me." Derek froze. Behind him, Patricia's face had gone from concerned to calculating in an instant. "Now, Maya, let's not be dramatic. We came as soon as we heard." "You left me." Maya spoke clearly, looking at each of them in turn. "I told you my water broke. I begged you not to leave, and you walked out anyway." "We thought you were exaggerating," Patricia started, but Catherine stood up then, phone in hand, and something in her posture made everyone fall silent. "No," Catherine said quietly. "You thought an award ceremony was more important than your daughter-in-law giving birth." The room went completely still. Derek's eyes darted between Catherine and Maya, confusion written across his face. "Who are you?" "I'm a neighbor who heard your wife screaming for help while she delivered your daughter alone on your living room floor." Catherine's voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath. "I'm also the person who documented the entire thing on video." Patricia's face drained of color. Video. Every second. Catherine held up her phone. The locked door. The puddle from her water breaking. Maya begging for help. The timestamp showing exactly when she gave birth and exactly how long she'd been alone. "Would you like to see it?" You can't," Patricia sputtered, then seemed to gather herself. "That's an invasion of privacy. You had no right." "Actually, I had every right." Maya gave consent. Catherine's expression didn't waver. "And it's already been backed up in multiple locations. Time-stamped, location verified, completely admissible in court." Court. The word hung in the air like a bomb waiting to detonate. Derek finally found his voice. "Maya, please. Let me explain." "Explain what?" Maya cut him off. "Explain how your mother convinced you that your wife going into labor was just attention-seeking? Explain how you chose your brother's award over your child being born? Explain how you locked the door behind you when you left." "I didn't lock it." "You closed it. While I was on the floor, terrified, you walked out and closed the door." Maya's voice cracked, but she pushed through. "Do you have any idea what that felt like?" Silence. Derek opened his mouth, closed it again. He had no answer because there was no answer that would make this okay. Patricia stepped forward, trying to regain control. "You're being unreasonable. First babies take hours. Everyone knows that. How are we supposed to know you'd deliver so quickly?" "Because I told you." Maya's composure finally broke. "I told you my water broke. I told you I needed help. I begged you not to leave me alone." "You've always been dramatic," Patricia started, but a new voice cut her off. "Is there a problem here?" Everyone turned. A woman in a blazer stood in the doorway, hospital ID badge clipped to her lapel. Behind her stood Rachel Kim, Maya's attorney, laptop bag slung over her shoulder. "I'm Jennifer Torres, hospital social worker," the woman continued. "I've been reviewing the case file for baby girl Martinez, and there are some concerns that need to be addressed." Derek's brother spoke up for the first time. "Concerns about what?" "The baby's fine now, right?" "The baby required an emergency blood transfusion for a life-threatening condition." Jennifer's tone was professional but firm. She received that transfusion from her mother, who had just given birth without medical assistance after being abandoned by her entire family. "So no, I wouldn't say everything is fine." Patricia bristled. "We didn't abandon. You left a woman in active labor alone in a locked house to attend a party." Rachel stepped forward now, setting her laptop bag on the chair. "That's the definition of abandonment. It's also potential grounds for criminal negligence, depending on how the district attorney views the evidence." The color drained from Derek's face. "Criminal? Nobody's talking about." "I am," Rachel said calmly. She pulled a folder from her bag. "I'm Maya's attorney as of 20 minutes ago. And after reviewing the video footage, the hospital records, and the timeline of events, I have significant concerns about my client's safety and her daughter's well-being." Catherine moved to stand beside Maya's bed, a silent sentinel. The nurse who'd been quietly checking monitors in the corner now positioned herself between the bed and the family, her body language protective. Maya watched it all unfold with a strange sense of detachment. These people standing around her bed, her husband, his family, suddenly looked like strangers. Or maybe she was finally seeing them clearly for the first time. "Derek," she said quietly. Everyone stopped talking. "When I was on that floor, pushing our daughter into the world by myself, do you know what I kept thinking?" He shook his head, tears starting to form in his eyes. "I kept thinking about our wedding day. Remember what you promised? In sickness and in health, for better or worse. Maya's voice remained steady. I needed you in the worst moment of my life, and you chose your mother's opinion over your wife and child. I'm sorry, Derek started, stepping forward, but Rachel moved to block him. Mr. Martinez, I need to advise you not to say anything else without consulting your own attorney. Rachel pulled out another set of papers. These are temporary restraining orders against you and your mother. They're effective immediately. Patricia's voice rose to a shriek. You can't do that. That's his child. That's exactly why we can do it. Jennifer, the social worker, spoke up again. When a newborn requires emergency medical intervention after being born in dangerous circumstances, the hospital has an obligation to ensure that child's safety. These orders are temporary, pending a full investigation. Investigation. Derek looked like he might be sick. What investigation? Into whether this constitutes child endangerment or neglect. Jennifer's expression was sympathetic but unyielding. Your wife went into labor. You left her alone despite her pleas for help. Your daughter was born without medical supervision and subsequently developed a life-threatening condition. These are facts that need examination. Maya felt a hand slip into hers, Catherine, standing solid beside her. Rachel was already laying out papers on the rolling tray table, explaining terms like temporary custody, supervised visitation, and emergency hearing. Through the doorway, Maya could see nurses pausing in the hallway, listening. One pulled out her phone. News traveled fast in hospitals. Derek's sister whispered something to their father, both of them looking increasingly panicked. His brother had gone pale, probably calculating how this scandal might affect his precious award and reputation. But Patricia? Patricia's face had transformed from shock to something dangerous. Her eyes narrowed as she looked at Maya. You planned this, she hissed. This whole thing. Hold on a minute. If this earned your like, give it one. And subscribe so you're first to know when we drop something new. Planned what exactly? Maya's voice came out colder than she'd ever heard it. Planned to go into labor? Planned for you to abandon me? Planned to almost die on my living room floor? You always play the victim, Patricia spat. Always looking for sympathy, always. Mrs. Martinez. Rachel's voice cut through like ice. I strongly suggest you stop talking. Right now. But Patricia was beyond listening. 8 months of carefully controlled venom came pouring out. She trapped my son with this pregnancy. She's manipulative, conniving. Mom, stop. Derek's voice was barely a whisper, but Patricia ignored him. And now she's using this situation to turn everyone against our family. Well, I won't stand for it. Derek, we're leaving. We'll get our own lawyer, a real one, and we'll fight this ridiculous. Actually, a new voice said from the doorway, I don't think you'll be fighting anything. Everyone turned. A woman in her late 50s stood there, impeccably dressed despite the late hour. She had the kind of presence that commanded attention without demanding it. Catherine's face lit up. Helen. Catherine called me from the parking lot. Helen stepped into the room, and Maya noticed the briefcase she carried, the subtle authority in her posture. She thought I might be interested in this case. She was right. And you are. Patricia's tone dripped with disdain. Judge Helen Whitmore, Family Court. Helen's smile didn't reach her eyes. I've just watched the video footage of Maya's delivery. Quite compelling evidence. The word judge hit the room like a grenade. Derek actually stumbled backward. His father grabbed the doorframe for support. You can't. There are rules about judges getting involved, Patricia stammered. I'm not involved. Yet. Helen set her briefcase down. But I am a mandatory reporter, and what I witnessed on that video constitutes grounds for an immediate wellness check and temporary protective order, which I see has already been initiated. Good work, Ms. Kim. Rachel nodded. The paperwork is ready for your review, Your Honor. Your Honor, please. Derek finally found his voice. I made a terrible mistake. I know that. But I love my wife and I want to meet my daughter. Don't I have rights? Helen's expression softened slightly. You do have rights, Mr. Martinez. But right now, your daughter is in a hospital bed after emergency medical intervention because of choices your family made. Rights come with responsibilities, and you failed catastrophically in yours. Maya watched her husband crumble, shoulders sagging under the weight of what he'd done. Part of her, the part that had loved him, married him, tried to build a life with him, wanted to comfort him. But a larger part, the part that had been dismissed and belittled and abandoned, felt only emptiness. There's more, Catherine said quietly. She looked at Patricia. The video went viral 3 hours ago. Patricia's face went white. What? I posted it on social media. Catherine didn't look apologetic. Public awareness platform, tagged with local news outlets. It's been shared 47,000 times. Your employer's been tagged in most of the comments. You had no right. Patricia lunged forward, but Derek's father grabbed her arm. Patricia, stop. His voice shook. Just stop. Maya's phone buzzed on the bedside table, then buzzed again. Message after message flooding in, friends, colleagues, distant relatives. Even people she barely knew, offering support and outrage in equal measure. One message stood out. It was from Patricia's employer, a prestigious non-profit organization. Catherine held up her own phone, showing Maya the email she'd just received. They fired her, Catherine said simply. Effective immediately. For conduct unbecoming and lacking the basic human compassion expected of our staff. Patricia made a sound like a wounded animal. My career, you destroyed my career. You destroyed your own career, Helen said sharply. You left a pregnant woman in active labor to attend a party. You prioritized your own desires over someone's life. Those were your choices, Mrs. Martinez. These are simply the consequences. The fight drained out of Patricia then. She slumped against the wall, her face crumbling as reality crashed down. Her job, her reputation, her control over her family, all of it slipping away in the span of a few hours. Derek stood frozen, looking between his mother and his wife. Maya could almost see the gears turning in his mind, trying to find some way to fix this, to salvage something from the wreckage. But there was nothing left to salvage. Sign the papers, Derek. Maya's voice was quiet but steady. The divorce papers, the custody agreement, all of it. I'll allow supervised visitation once you've completed parenting classes and therapy. But you and your mother are not welcome in my daughter's life unsupervised. Maya, please. You made your choice this afternoon. Maya looked down at her sleeping daughter. When I needed you most, you walked away. I can't trust you after that. I won't. Rachel slid the papers across the table. Derek stared at them like they might bite him, then slowly picked up the pen with shaking hands. His signature looked like a stranger's. One by one, his family filed out of the room. Patricia left last, supported by her husband, her expression hollow. The door closed behind them with a soft click. Silence settled over the room. Maya let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. You okay? Catherine asked gently. Maya looked around at the people who remained. Catherine, who'd heard a stranger's screams and refused to walk away. Rachel, who'd dropped everything to protect someone she barely knew. Helen, who'd used her position to ensure justice was swift. The nurses, who'd witnessed everything and stood as silent guardians. Her daughter stirred in the bassinet, making small sounds that pulled at Maya's heart. Yeah, Maya whispered, reaching down to stroke her baby's impossibly soft cheek. "We're going to be okay." And for the first time in 8 months, she actually believed it. We've come to the end of the story. If you got value from this, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this.